Good morning or good afternoon. I guess time is now 1 o'clock Eastern time at least. I'm sure some are at the noon hour, some 11, some 10. Who knows how far back it goes. But let's go ahead and begin. This is CEASD session that focuses on different topics during these next few months. During this challenging time of coronavirus pandemic. So we're trying to reach out to listen to the different schools and all of the ideas that can be thrown out onto the table. First, I am going to thank the American Schools for the Deaf for letting us use their Zoom account and the platform. Thank you very much for that. We also want to thank Texas School for the Deaf for lending us some great interpreters. Today we have Katie Northup. And from American School for the Deaf, we have Heidi Catalan. So now in terms of protocol for a virtual meeting, if you wouldn't mind, please hiding your video at this time. I know on a Mac computer, it's down on the left-hand corner. Where it says stop video, if you could just click on that, hide your video for now, as well as click on mute. If you are struggling, then I will, on my end, turn off your video and mute. Hopefully we don't want that to happen, so if you wouldn't mind each individual hiding their screens now. I still see Timothy. Okay. Timothy, if you wouldn't mind hiding your video. Can you hide your video for us? All right, great. Beautiful. Okay, so in terms of how to ask a question or wanting to make a comment, just open up your video again. I'll show you real quickly. Let me hide mine. I'm going to pop up saying, hi, I'm here. I have a question to ask. So once you pop up, we'll take that to mean you have a question or comment. The moderator will then call on you so that you can ask your questions. If we have 2 or 3 people popping up on screen, then that's just fine. We will go in order of who popped up first. Once that question is answered and the conversation regarding that question is done, we will then move on to the next one. You can also use the chat feature. The chat feature is recorded or documented and saved. Also, the screen in which you're watching right now will be recorded as well. So how does the Texas School for the Deaf do that? How does Florida School for the Deaf and Blind do that? All of the various ideas that are going to be mentioned today will be on the recorded video for further use. Again, we're wanting to get together and socialize, and CEASD is for all of the schools and your students and how we can really flourish our schools during this time. Okay, so to introduce myself, my name is David Gieslin. I'm the president of CEASD. I would now like to introduce Jennifer Greenfield, who is from the Marie Phillips School, hosted on campus of the Learning Center. So those are the signs for the schools. She has been superintendent of Marie Phillips School for 4 years. She has her degrees and has experience working at the Lexington School for the Deaf for 2 years. Moved to Boston, working at the Horace Mann School in various roles during her tenure there. But in all, 14 years working there, and then she moved over to the Learning Center working at Marie Phillips as superintendent. I will let her now take over this discussion and this session. And let's see all of the various perspectives that come in. So Jennifer, thank you.
Thank you so much, David. I also want to let you know that I notice my picture is freezing from time to time, so I will sign a little slower. But if my picture does freeze, please do let me know. Hopefully it won't happen too much during this meeting. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share those in the chat box. First, I'm going to be focusing on graduation. We'd like to get a sense of what other schools are doing. Here for us in the New England region, we tend to wait until June for graduation. Some of you already, perhaps either this week or next week, will be having graduation, which is earlier than we will. So I want your thoughts about what you'll be doing. I'll share some of the options that I've heard that other schools are exploring, and then we'll take a moment to allow the audience to join in and share your own experiences about what you have done or will do for this. So one option was to postpone graduation until next year. So we would combine the class of 2020 with the class of 2021. So that was one possible option. Or we could go ahead with an online virtual graduation. You would select a date here in 2020 for graduation and stay with that and have graduation online. That would require a lot of logistical information and work to be done ahead of time. And we'll talk about that just a little bit more in a while. I've also heard about a drive-through graduation concept. And this is where staff in their vehicles would line the road and students and their families would drive through and receive their diploma that way. I've also heard of possible combinations of both virtual and live graduation. So we'll talk about what that's going to look like too. I'd like to know if you are planning a virtual graduation, how that's going to look. But first I want to open it up to the group and see if any of you are proceeding with a live in-person graduation. That's my first question for today. You can share that in the chat. No thoughts? Okay, let's keep going. And if you do think of something, feel free to share that in the chat box. So let's start with online graduations. Oh, I see some comments coming through on the chat box. And I'm trying to read them. Just one moment. Yes, so again, I know we are all discussing this, and I'm sure your teams are hard at work exploring the various options. One idea that has been discussed is the idea of a live graduation or a virtual online graduation. So we talked about how we could potentially pre-record various parts of the graduation and then bring that all together to show what an actual graduation might look like. Perhaps we would have the graduation speaker record their speech ahead of time. Perhaps the students would record themselves sharing their goals and their plans for after graduation and put all those video clips together once they're done. Also, there is the potential for having, considering whether or not we actually want to be able to have a combination of a live graduation where we would use the school campus and allow a student with perhaps 4 or 5 family members proceed and have a photo and have the background that you would have on campus in graduation, and then have students come through that way. That was another option discussed. You could also have that live streamed and then later have that sent and posted on your school website, perhaps the next day, to show everybody the graduation ceremony. But eventually, really, that graduation ceremony, having that recorded would be an opportunity to market your school and to really show the success of the students as they're graduating and walking across the stage. Now, let me just refer back to the chat room. I see Nancy Heath. Would you like to share? I can turn it over to you now.
Hi, everyone. Really, we don't have any set plans as of yet. Our Board of Trustees is wanting to postpone graduation until the fall. So that's the plan at this time.
So you'll have the same plans and just wait until the fall.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. You can hide your video. Perfect. The one issue with that is there are some students that may be going on to college and potentially may not be able to come back onto campus for that event. We also work with the Walden School. It's a 365-day-a-year program. It's a treatment program school, and they are always a part of our graduation. And many of those students live out of state. And so the potential for them to come back would be small. So that could be difficult for us. But that is one possibility. An option is to postpone that graduation date. I think there are more comments in the chat box. My chat box screen is just a little smaller. One moment. I see Scarlett. Valencia?
Hi. Yes. Hello, everyone. So at CEASD Riverside, we've asked our senior class in order to decide what they would prefer to do since it is their event. So we offered a few choices. Most of them voted to have a pre-recorded video that could be posted and uploaded on graduation day, the planned day of June 4th. We would have graduation speakers, the different student speakers, and individual pictures. And then they voted to come back sometime before winter break in December. By that time, I think everyone should be home from their colleges. And so that would be an ideal time to take advantage of an in-person graduation ceremony. But again, everything is fluid and hard to predict at this time. So hopefully right before winter break, where our school is still open, but colleges have closed, we think that's going to be the best time for us.
Thank you. We have done the same. We also have sent out a survey to our senior class to ask their thoughts. We asked a total of 6 questions. The first one was the option for in-person, postponing, or doing it virtually. But we also realized that as seniors, that means they would have to come back on campus to perhaps pick up things that they've left in their locker or here at school. And so we thought perhaps we may have the opportunity to make the logistics happen for having students come out on June to pick up all of the items they've left at school, but we also could have a background ready with a cap and a gown and a diploma, so we could take that opportunity to have their photo taken prior to their actual graduation date. And then those photos we'd be able to post and show through social media in the event that we do not have a virtual graduation, because we still want to honor them on that special day when graduation is supposed to happen. I think that's a tremendous loss for our senior class. And so we really want to find a way to celebrate them on that day. So here, Lexington has said they've done the same as Riverside, and they've decided that they'll be hosting a large party afterwards. They know that they're going to be missing proms, the senior award ceremony, yearbook recognitions. There are many important end of the year events, but wow, you all are such an innovative and creative group. Wow. Has anybody thought about doing a drive-through graduation? I'm just curious to hear more about that concept. I feel like that would be very complicated, especially logistics and making sure we maintain that social distancing. Any thoughts? You can either raise your hand or share a comment in the chat box. Okay. Again, feel free to share at any time. I'm going to proceed, but if you all have decided to postpone your graduation to a different day, perhaps closer to homecoming or next year, June 2021, but what will you do for this year's graduation, June 2020? So we have the possibility of involving a very strong marketing team because we'll be posting quite a bit. Oh, just one moment before I go on. I have Eileen Kraser. Do you mind just sharing?
Hello, I'm Eileen, and I'm from the Rocky Mountain Deaf School. We're doing a little bit opposite of the drive-through concept. What we're going to be doing is a car parade. And so we do have a smaller number of seniors in our graduating class. And so all of the staff will be in their cars lined up on the road. And then we will drive past individual students' homes while waving and sending congratulations. We will also have several signs. We're going to be sending signs to parents and individuals to put in their yards. Also cupcakes for the families to enjoy. We're going to be sending several different things for our students to enjoy with their families, as well as doing the car parade by their homes.
I'm stealing some of those ideas. Thank you so much. Yes, so in this kind of situation, it seems to also depend upon the size of the graduating class. For a smaller school, they may have the ability to travel to individual students' homes, but we have 17, and our students, some of them are scattered throughout our state, and some are also outside of our state. So it looks a little different for every school. Also, we talked about plannings to set up a senior profile. So every single day we would select a senior to profile. We would have their picture and a little bit about that senior, and we could post that on social media in the days leading up to the graduation date in June. Also, which has already been mentioned, congratulating the senior class of 2020 by sending out yard signs for families to place in front of their homes. We are hoping to do the same. I see Claire here.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to share that we have a graduation committee here at CEASD, and what we did was give kids the traditional graduation program. And we asked them, what do you really value most from this program? What do you want to save? And first of all, let me be clear here. What they wanted was a real in-person graduation ceremony.
Of course.
I mean, they were bullheaded and persistent in wanting that as priority. And I promised to do that if possible. However, what I think is important for us to give the kids in terms of our leadership and advice is that coming back at a later date, whether that be at homecoming or winter break December, we will not be getting the whole class together. The chance of that is very slim. But kids don't seem to fully grasp that at this time. They're thinking everyone's going to be motivated to show up. I think our graduating class is a very large one. It's almost 70 students. And I can't imagine more than a third of that group coming back together at a later date. So we've had to really sell a virtual graduation to our students. And I think we're almost there in spirit. I'm hoping we're there. So we're getting there. Half of the plan is to have pre-recorded speakers, and then also have a sort of inline kind of parade or streaming, live streaming. I'm sorry, correction, live streaming.
I'd like to ask, while I have you still here, what will you and others do about graduation commencement speakers? Do you have somebody that you've been pursuing for a year and a half and finally were able to get them, or what will you do?
We've decided to actually remove a commencement speaker from our ceremony.
Okay, I'm curious as to what others will do also. All right, I'm just reading through the chat box comments. So it seems there's a lot of discussion regarding the yard signs. I think that is such an easy and simple and very visible way to really recognize those graduating seniors. Now, I'm curious, does anybody else have any thoughts in regards to the commencement speaker? Let me know. Also, in the event that we do not have an in-person graduation this June, that means that the expenses that normally go towards planning a graduation, which would be much less. And so the experience for this senior class for the year 2020 would be very different. So we thought we could take some of that money that we will have available and have some kind of special gift for the class, perhaps something where their name is monogrammed on a bag. We are hoping that our students will be able to come to campus at some point, pick up their items from their lockers, and then they would have this very nice monogrammed bag that they could use to pack all of their items in. And we thought that would be a wonderful gift to give them. And that's something we've not done in the past because we feel that that may somehow help to make up for this lost experience of graduation. I also read an article that I thought was interesting, and they noted that it's important to have the students lead this, perhaps have their own social media platform, perhaps they set up something on Facebook for a yearbook, and have all of the students from the school share all kinds of pictures from over the years to recognize all of those seniors. Perhaps the seniors could post pictures of themselves and students could share pictures from various activities, but that could be a student-led initiative. And so our school administration could delegate that to the students so that they could develop something that they are interested in. So those are some of the ideas that have been discussed. I'd like to know, are there any other ideas that anyone would like to share regarding graduation? Then we want to move on to talk about other end of the year activities. I can't see all of you, so be sure to share your thoughts in the chat box. Okay, I do want to let you know that if you do decide to postpone your graduations, I want to remind you to make sure you do order the tassels with the year 2020, because I have a suspicion they will not be available next year because we'll be getting ready for the class of 2021. So we've gone ahead and ordered a supply of caps with the tassels for the students graduating this year. We also have students that are still going to complete the surveys, and we're waiting for the results. We should get them later this week before we decide how we'll proceed, but at least we'll have the caps and the tassels ready to go for the year 2020. Absolutely. I was just receiving a question through the chat box about whether or not this session will be recorded. And yes, this will be recorded. And that way this is available for anybody who was not able to join us today. Okay, so let's move on to end of the year events. We have our secondary students, our middle school and high school students wanted to be very involved with the decisions that we've made in regards to prom, to the middle school dance, and all different kinds of events, the senior awards banquet. And they decided they did not want this done virtually. And so we've canceled these events. We have also a high school play that was planned, but we will postpone that until the fall. There are other events that we still have not determined how we will handle those. We have family events such as the moving up ceremony. And for us internally, that's our fifth graders that are moving on to sixth grade or our eighth graders that are moving on to ninth grade. We also wanted to provide an orientation for families. That is something we will be hosting through Zoom, and that will be done by our school principal. So there are certain events that can easily be moved to a Zoom platform and others not so easily. So I'm curious what you all plan to do for some of these end of the year events.
Hello. So I'm with the California School for the Deaf, and I believe the first week of June, we will be doing evening awards in terms of athletic awards, graduation speakers, everything done virtually. Well, I say virtually, but it's going to be videos posted to a YouTube channel so that families can watch. Similar to our play, we are also postponing to the fall. So we're trying to do things in a unique way, but I am very curious about the various ideas. They're very good today.
I'd like to ask all of you, are you planning any kind of senior retreat or senior trip? I have to say, we're a little bit unsure of what we'll do. Every year, typically, we bring our students to Martha's Vineyard for a trip, and that's just right off the coast of Massachusetts. Unfortunately, this year we'll not be able to do that, and our seniors have yet to come up with any ideas. Do you all have any ideas for that? Also, we had mentioned that we have some parents that we're able to bring online through Zoom for various parent events, such as orientation. We also have these moving up ceremonies and various events that we host. And they can be done virtually through different grades, but we have yet to really wrap up those discussions. And so I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to share some ideas. We have a similar question around how we'll handle academic awards, athletic awards. There doesn't seem to be any final decision here yet. For athletic awards, we have discussed hosting that award ceremony online. We have the awards ready to go. We have the officers working together on the PowerPoint. Yesterday, the coaches just started discussions on setting up the PowerPoints, the awards, and presenting them in ASL and showing them later online. So Rochester, I see Carrie here. Do you want to share?
Hello. So I'm Carrie here from Rochester. In actuality, our seniors decided that all of the funds they earned for senior trip, we would let them make the decision on what they wanted to do. They planned to go to Cedar Point, and however, that just wasn't going to work with everything going on. So they've decided to use the funds for other reasons, which they selected senior t-shirts. And it's going to say, you know, class of 2020. They have their design that they're going to plan. And so that's what they're using those monies for.
Great, thank you. Okay, I see Texas has canceled all summer programming except for family weekend. Okay, and communication skills workshops, yes. So this is our new normal now. Everything is going to be done remotely and virtually. So that is all the information I have today. I'd like to open this up for discussion. I see Nancy has mentioned ideas about an athletic banquet. Would you like to share?
So we, you know, kind of polled the students about what was important to them. And there was a lot of concern regarding the athletic awards banquet, which was a serious concern of theirs.
Yeah.
So they actually voted and decided to wait until the end of August, that last week of August. Hopefully, at that time, they will try to have the live in-person sports banquet. In terms of our senior trip, we're inviting the class of 2020 seniors to join with the class of 2021 on a senior trip. If they are wanting to, they could do that together. Again, our graduating classes are fairly small, so it works for us.
Great, thank you so much. So that seems to be what most people are doing, either postponing the events or hosting them virtually. But I think that's a wonderful idea for allowing seniors to discuss what they'd like to do for their senior retreat and perhaps using those funds for shirts. That's all I have. David Giesland, would you like to join back in with us?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for leading this discussion. We learned a lot, got a plethora of ideas that can hopefully help us make some decisions for our individual schools. Is there any other comments that anyone would like to add? If not, we will wrap up this session. We thank you very much for joining us, but I do want to provide one last opportunity. Any other comments or questions? Okay, doesn't look like it. So thank you for joining. Stay safe, stay healthy, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.